Welcome to another episode of Roll Up or Power Up. So get your blunts rolled and your drink poured. Alright, now what we here on today, Mr. Roll Up? Well, today we is here on a situation that happened at a Coney Island in Detroit, man. Y'all let's be tweaking, bro. You know what I'm saying? Now, before I show y'all this little video clip of it, let me say this, right? I did a short on it yesterday. You know what I'm saying? So y'all can go watch the short that I made about this video I'm about to give y'all, right? It's the last short that I just did. It's about this Coney Island. It's called A Eagles Coney Island on Dexter and Joy Road. Yes, Dexter and Joy Road crossed each other at some point. How about that? And it's a Coney Island that sit on one of them corners, right? Well, it was a deadly ass shooting at that goddamn Coney. You know what I'm saying? And it was all over some petty ass shit, bro. Y'all ass tweaking. So just in case y'all want a visual of what I'm about to show y'all, stop this video right now and go check out the short and come right back. You know what I'm saying? How about that? Now, with that being said, let me go ahead and show y'all this little video clip real quick, and then I'm gonna give y'all my commentary. First thing first, let's take a look at the suspect. Look at him. Biting his damn lip, cause he know he fucked up. How about that? His ass was tweaking, bro.
Charges for a shooting at a Detroit Coney Island that left 3 people dead and a 4th hurt. The suspect is set to go before a judge at any moment on a list of charges that includes 3 counts of first-degree murder. His name is Mickey Douglas. He's 25 years old and from Detroit. Local 4's Victor Williams joins us now live with more on the case and the charges that Douglas is now facing. Victor?
Yeah, Rod, where Douglas is supposed to be arraigned this morning at the 36th District Court, and he's facing some pretty heavy charges. The 25-year-old is going to be charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder. He's also to be charged with assault with intent to murder, felon in possession of a firearm, and 5 counts of felony firearm. All this after he's accused of being the gunman in the shooting that took place at Eagles Coney Island on the west side, leaving 3 dead: 34-year-old Brian Jackson, 24-year-old Carnell Watts, and 20-year-old Courtney Willis, all identified as the victims. Another man who has not been identified is still in the hospital. Now, we're sure you guys remember that shocking surveillance video of the tragic situation playing out. But coming up tonight at 5, I'll be showing you guys more of what happened inside the courtroom. Reporting live downtown, Victor Williams, Local 4.
All right. Y'all is tweaking, bro. So y'all already know I gotta light up before I go off. Y'all is be tweaking, bro. Now, y'all done seen the short, and y'all just seen a little short video of exactly what happened. Right? Well, now let me walk y'all down this situation about why this even happened in the first place, right? Y'all is tweaking, bro. So, this guy, Mickey Douglas, right? You know, he had some guys he was beefing with, you know, his Opps, you know, whatever you want to call them, whoop-de-whoop, right? He ran into these guys at the Coney Island. You know, I'm not going to say they necessarily was like his biggest ops or, you know, shit like that. Like, yeah, let me kill these niggas on sight, whoop-de-whoop, you know. I ain't going to say it was that. I don't know. But Detroit politics, you know what I'm saying? What we know about the situation is these some guys he was into it with, right? And they was talking about his shoes. His shoes, bro. Not his outfit. Not his swag. Not how many hoes he done hit that then told on him and said he was weak or something like that. A pair of shoes, bro. They was roasting his shoes, and he opened fire on their ass in the Coney Island. I remember when that shit happened, right? That was 2020, right? July of 2020. That was during the pandemic, you know. I remember that shit. You know, I remember when it happened. I seen the video of it. You know what I'm saying? Not like the little short clip version. I seen the actual video. You know what I'm saying? Of the people laid out, you know what I'm saying, in front of the damn Coney Island parking lot and shit. Like, he got the shooting in the Coney, you know, as y'all seen. Like, of course, they wasn't going to show everything because this YouTube, right? But he opened fire on their ass in the Coney, you know, while they was waiting on their food. And they was trying to escape, so they came, you know, running out the door and shit. But some of them died, you know what I'm saying, right there in the parking lot type shit. And, you know, somebody was like walking up recording and shit. And you could see the guys laying out on the ground, brains all over the place, all type of shit. Like, dog wasn't playing. He smoked their ass. You know what I'm saying? So when it happened, everybody like, damn, you know why dog spazzed out? What the fuck happened? Woo, you know? Well, it was 4 guys, right? 3 of them died. 1 of them lived. So the story come out that they was talking about his shoes, and he got mad about this shit. He up banger and got the blowing at their ears. All right. Now, it's time for Mr. Roll Up to derail, bro. Y'all ass be tweaking, bro. Y'all know I don't just come on here talking about shit and I don't got no real context behind it, you know. I really don't even speak on shit that I can't even relate to, you know. That's why I derail so much, because if I'm speaking on it, I can relate to that shit, or I done been through it, I done did it, you know what I'm saying? Like, I got some type of conjunction with whatever the fuck I'm talking about. That's why I derail. Y'all ass be tweaking, bro. So anyway, with that being said, right? Let's jump in that time capsule. Let's go back to the early 90s. 94, 95, 96, somewhere around that time, right? Y'all ass tweaking, bro. So I'm in elementary school. I'm 5, 6, 7 years old. I'm a little ass kid, right? I'm in elementary. I see a bunch of people I'm going to school with, you know. They was spoiled, you know. We all from the hood, but you had certain people from the hood that was spoiled, you know what I'm saying? That had all the newest outfits, the newest shoes, you know what I'm saying? They was always getting sent to school with lunch money. So, you know, they could buy the school lunches and shit like that. All like baller status, you know what I'm saying, in elementary. Guess what? Mr. Roll Up wasn't a part of that crowd. Hell no. When the new J's and the new forces will come out, everybody coming to school, well, I'm gonna put it like this, right? In the hood, it's like 90-10. 90% of the people in the hood is broke. About a good 10% of them got some money, you know. The 10% is the hard-working, middle-class people. And the ones that selling drugs and shit like that, that's the 10% in the hood that got some money, right? The other 90%, they living off government funding, you know what I'm saying? A little McDonald's job, you know, some child support, you know, just enough to get them through. That's the other 90% of the hood, bro. Y'all ass be tweaking, right? With that being said, that middle class family, the drug dealers, you know, the road runners, the people that's getting money, They send their kids to school with all the fly shit on. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of them was gangsters back in their time. You know what I'm saying? So they wore the Adidas, the top 10s, and, you know, all of that shit. You know, they was fly as hell too. So now they got kids and they sending their kids to school. They want their kids to go to school fly as fuck too. You know what I'm saying? That's just what it was. That's how popular kids form. It's not about how good you look, nothing like that. You know, far as aesthetics, facial wise, you know, shit like that. It's about how fly you could be. Can you come to school fresh every day, new outfit, you know, latest fashion, nice little techno watch on your wrist or something, you know what I'm saying? The new J's and, you know, shit like that, right? That's how you form popularity. That's how you become a popular kid. You know what I'm saying? By coming with the latest shit. Like, you always got that shit on, right? Y'all is tweaking, bro. So with that being said, again, this is derailment, bro. But I'm gonna make it all make sense. Y'all know I get when I like that blunt. It's go time. Y'all is tweaking, bro. So, the popular kids, they getting sent to school with all the latest shit on, right? With that being said, in the hood, we call them kids like the silver spoon kids, the spoiled kids, because they always got what they wanted. You know what I'm saying? So when the new J's come out, the new 12s, the different colors, they coming out every week, they got them. Them shoes, $200. You know what I'm saying? Your parents spending $200 a week on a new pair of shoes, just shoes. You know what I'm saying? Not whole outfit, not a cell phone come attached with it, just a damn pair of shoes. And if your parents can afford to get you the new pair of shoes every week, you know what I'm saying? That's $800 a month. Your people spending $1,000 a month just for you to keep switching up your shoes. That's how you become popular. Shit like that, right? Well, guess what? Mr. Roll-Up, I wasn't one of them. You know what I'm saying? And the craziest part of it was, my family, we was in the middle of the middle working class and the drug dealers. My daddy was a drug dealer back then, but of course, you know, he had to, you know, get out the street life and get a good job, you know, and that's when he started driving the bus for the city. So, you know, he was making good money doing that shit too, you know. So in my household, the money wasn't the issue. It was me. I was bad. You know what I'm saying? So back then, it was Mr. Allen's Foot Locker. That was like the top spots to go shop and get your clothes and shoes from. You know what I'm saying? We was youngins, right? My daddy would take me to Mr. Allen's and give me the lowest of everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, he would do it on purpose. You know, some pro wings, you know what I'm saying? Fucking uniform outfits, some rubber ducky boots. That's what I had on my feet. You know what I'm saying? In the wintertime, when everybody getting their Timbs, they wheat Timbs, the black Timbs or whatever shit like that, my daddy bought me rubber ducky boots. I'm telling him year after year, please stop doing this. Can I get some Timberland boots? He wouldn't do it. And my daddy had the money. Like, my daddy had money. Straight up. You know what I'm saying? Like, real shit. My daddy was a manly man. He didn't play that shit. So if your ass is tweaking, you ain't get shit. So I ain't get shit. Right? So I was getting all the bottom shelf shit. You know what I'm saying? I go to school with pro wings on or some rubber duckies, especially the rubber duckies, bro. Every time I pulled out the rubber duckies, people pointing, laughing, talking about me. Everybody else in Tim's and all this shit. I'm in rubber ducky boots, bro. No cap. Elementary school. I used to get talked about so bad, bro. I remember it was so bad to a point. One point in time, I had stole my homeboy shoes. You know what I'm saying? When I get doing these interviews, I'm gonna throw him on one so he can tell the story, bro. But yeah, my dog Day Day, man. You know, Day Day was one of them top niggas from the Vice Lord side. You know, but before all of that, you know, picking side shit came into place. Day Day was my brother, you know what I'm saying? So I used to go to his house all the time, you know, before we go to school and shit. And he was one of them niggas that had all the newest J's, all that shit. He had these new J's at the time. I can't remember what they was. I remember they was some J's though. And he didn't even wear them bitches. Like he ain't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? Man, I stole them bitches one day. You know what I'm saying? He had an older brother that was like 2 or 3 years older than him. You know, his brother Kenny and shit. And long story short on that, we heading out the house about to go to school. And the way like how our classes was set up, it was like me and Day Day wasn't running into each other in the hallways. You know what I'm saying? Type shit. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna wear his shoes today. Type shit, you know? So I grabbed his shoes. I didn't grab them to steal them. I just grabbed them, you know, just to wear them for the day. And I was going to, you know, put them back in his room. He could keep his shoes under his bed and shit, you know. So I was going to return them. Like, this is my nigga. I was just going to wear them for the day, you know. Man, I promise you, I put them bitches on. Everybody's giving my props. Oh, them bitches hard, bro. Woo, woo. I'm feeling good, right? So it's one of them times we in the hallways transition to a different class and shit. And they brought Kenny, his Day older brother Kenny, they brought his class down my hallway. They wasn't supposed to, you know, because, you know, the way how the movement go. But they did, you know. So Kenny saw me with Day shoes on. He like, nigga, what? Ah, man. That shit was crazy, you know. He definitely went and told on me, you know. But it was all good. You know, the family wasn't tripping on me and shit because they knew me and Day wasn't tripping. So, you know, we pieced that shit out. It wasn't about nothing. But the point is that I grabbed a pair of my man's shoes one time. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was just how bad I was getting treated. You know, like, my daddy was fucking me over. And he knew exactly what I wanted. He seen what all the young kids was wearing. He knew what the fuck was going on. But I was so bad, he wouldn't buy me what the fuck I wanted. So with that being said, he started making me work. 7, 8 years old, I'm out here working. Cutting grass, shoveling snow, you know, raking up the dog doodle, raking up the leaves, all that shit, right? With that being said, he told me, like, hey, you know, you want that expensive stuff everybody else got? You got to work for it. It was like you put in your work, I'll start buying you that type of stuff. What you mean by that? Put in your work, Mr. Roll Up. You a little ass boy. What work you got to put up? What work you got to put up? I had a chores. I had a list. My list was make sure my room was clean all day, every day. Cut the grass. If it need to be cut, shovel the snow. If it's down on the ground, rake the leaves that they didn't feel. Every time that dog take a shit, go get it up. Blah, 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 blah. This is my job, right? So my daddy was preparing me for the real world. When your time come and you got to be an adult and you got to buy your own shit, you got to get out here and work and make the money happen to go get what you want. That's what he was preparing me for at a young age. You know what I'm saying? Little did I know that, but that's what it was. With that being said, it got to a point when I started walking around the hood. You know what I'm saying? Damn, man. I'm walking around the hood with a lawnmower or a shovel, depending on the weather, you know. In the summertime, walking around with a lawnmower, you know, cutting grass and shit, charging 10 people, charging people $10, cut their grass. In the snow, with the shovel, charging $10 to shovel their driveway, you know, in front of their house, whoopty whoop. In the summertime, all the spoiled kids, they outside, they got on the new gear and shit, having fun, running around laughing. I'm walking around with a lawnmower, dirty as hell, looking crazy. Everybody pointing and laughing at me. Oh, look at him. He out here cutting grass. You know what I'm saying? We out here with the new shit on, doing what we want. You know, I'm getting clowned, you know. And I was ashamed of that shit for a while. You know what I'm saying? Like, damn, I get treated so bad, and everybody else around here got on the new shit and hang out and do what they want, you know. But it set me up for a bigger play. And I'm getting there, you know. So by the time I got to about 12, 13, I was working a job. And I was gambling. You know what I'm saying? I was working a job at 12 years old, you know. So I'm getting weekly checks and I'm gambling. I'm shooting dice at school with the guys, all that shit, right? So I'm hustling. Now I could buy myself the shoes that I want, the clothes I want to wear, shit like that, right? And all of them people that was around me that was spoiled, getting what they want, popular, all of that, they didn't know nothing about working. Nothing. They was spoiled their whole life. Again, when I was out there with the shovel and the lawnmower, they was outside laughing at me like, what this nigga doing? By the time I became a teenager, I already had it in me. So now, I'm the nigga with the shit. But let me bag it up real quick. I had missed this part, right? Bagging wheels in elementary. You know, to be a popular kid, one of the criteria you got to fit to be a popular kid is you got to come to school either with a sweet lunch pill, you know, where you have your lunch in, lunchbox, lunch pill, whatever you want to call it, or you got to have money, meaning your parents got to send you to school with some money for the school lunch. My parents did neither. They sent me to school with a brown paper bag with my name on it, bro. Y'all ass tweaking. And not my government name, my household name. You know your parents give you a household nickname and shit. Mine is Bud. So they sent me to school with a brown paper bag with some rubber duckies on, a 9 name brand coat, and a brown paper bag with my name on it, bro. How about that? So I was getting clowned all around the board. Not gonna hold you. I was getting clowned. I mean, of course, everybody still know me. We cool, all that, you know. But I'm getting roasted. Because I was like one of the bummiest niggas ever in elementary. But again, by the time I got to middle school and I started hustling, I started buying my own shit. So now, the shit these niggas I'm in school with, the shit that they got on, that they mamas buy them and shit like that, I got that shit on, I'm buying it myself. So I was further advanced than them. You know what I'm saying? Okay, now I'm about to make all this make some sense, right? With that being said, and I know there's gonna be a couple people from the hood on here that's gonna get mad at what I say or whatever. I don't give a fuck. Fuck y'all. Y'all ass tweaking, bro. But I'm gonna throw my man's Seth Green in the mix. Rest in peace to Seth, aka Skillet. Those of y'all that know, y'all know. Now, look, right? Skillet was one of the bros from the hood. You know what I'm saying? But he was also on the football team. This high school term I'm speaking on now, right? He was on the football team. He was a quarterback. He was that nigga. He was a quarterback. You know what I'm saying? So he had love from everybody. Everybody fucked with him. Streets fucked with him. He one of them niggas, right? Anyway, with all that being said, he had all the latest gear, all the new Jordans, Forces, all the latest outfits. When we got to high school, we didn't have to wear, uniform. We could wear whatever we wanted, in high school. Man, Skillet, he used to hang with Rio Grande real tough. Him and Rio, they was boys, because Rio was on the basketball team, Skillet was on the football team. The basketball, football team, they fuck with each other, And Mario was, we call him Mario, his real name, ain't that a bitch? Rio Grande was the point guard on the basketball team, and Skillet was the quarterback on the football team. So, they was boys. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, they was the fresh niggas, had all the latest gear, whatever, cologne, all that shit, Them niggas was fresh. They had the Cartier glasses, the Alwa sign jackets, you know what I'm saying? Like, them niggas came fresh every day. And, with that being said, I know Skillet mama, you know what I'm saying? She always wanted her kids to be fly, So she would, work her ass off to make sure her kids was fly, So with all that being said, Skillet was one of them niggas, fly as hell. Like, he was one of them popular guys on the team, quarterback, that nigga, right? Well, one day he killed himself. Yeah, back in that time, we was young. Maybe like 17, 18, some shit. I don't know. Y'all know my time would be off, bro. But I don't lie about shit, But he killed himself, back then. Now, this is where some of the bros probably gonna get mad at, but these is my thoughts, I think he killed himself because I think he just couldn't handle the pressure of being an adult, Like I said, he was one of them guys that was spoiled. He had everything he wanted. He was on the team. You know what I'm saying? He had all the women, whoop-de-whoop. He was winning, And it just came a time when it's like, all right, you an adult now. You got to do for you, And I think that he couldn't handle that pressure, He didn't have no kids. Wasn't nobody there to stress him out. He had everything he wanted, and he still killed himself, at a young age at that. So I believe that he just wasn't ready for the responsibilities of being an adult, meaning he didn't grow up like that. He grew up having everything he wanted. And I told y'all, I know my lips look fucking ashy as hell, bro, but it's the lightning, man. Y'all ass tweaking, bro. Hold on. Let me put a little of this Carmex on, just so y'all know. Y'all ass tweaking, bro. So, as you can see, it's the lightning, But anyway, right? So, Skillet killed himself. Of course, it could have been for 40, 50 different reasons. We don't know. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure those that was very close to him do know, but for the vast majority of us, we don't know. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, he killed himself. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, I truly believe it was because he was one of the ones that, that didn't have to grind and hustle. Like, his life was set. And I think it came to a point where mine was like, hey, you got to start doing your own thing, whoopty whoop, and he couldn't handle it. That's Mr. Roll-Up thoughts. But anyway, I said that to say this. Like I said, some people just can't handle the responsibilities of being an adult, right? Now, let's go ahead and let's jump back into this situation with Mickey Douglas, the guy that caught this murder, this triple homicide. You know what I'm saying? At this Coney Island. Now, how you about to corroborate all that, Mr. Roll-Up? Well, listen up. I'll teach y'all something. Y'all let's be tweaking, bro. I know y'all didn't think I was done. Y'all let's be tweaking, bro. Now, why you think boy shot all 4 of them guys and killed 3 of them? Why you think he did that, Mr. Roll-Up? Well, it's going to go back to what I said about spoiled kids growing up in the hood that didn't really have to go through nothing. So when they become adults and they don't really know how to handle life, they be real emotional. Any little thing can set them off. Any little thing make them mad. You know what I'm saying? Just like most of these street niggas, they always mad about some shit. And 9 times out of 10 is because they can't find their way out. You know what I'm saying? They don't know what to do out here. So they be super defensive, super emotional, always mad, thinking the tough guy role is what's gonna save them, So, relating all that to this guy, Mickey Douglas, right? He was 25 years old when this situation happened. Meaning he was a grown-ass man. As a grown-ass man, why is you tripping? Why are you tripping on a pair of shoes, bro? Again, let's go back to the beginning. When I was talking about I was getting sent to school with Pro Wings or rubber duckies, bro. At a young age, where a lot of kids be traumatized from shit like that, being talked about and, downplayed and all that type of shit. Y'all know how transparent Mr. Roll-Up is. I showed y'all my school picture, what was it, 94, 95? I was like 5, 6 years old, bro. Y'all seen my school picture. It's in the post. You know what I'm saying? Nigga, I was bummy as hell, bro. And my people had the money. We lived on the wealthiest block in the neighborhood. We stayed on the main street. All our houses are brick houses. Y'all can go back, check out the shorts. I'll see my block. I lived on a nice block, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, we had the money. It was my behavior and the way how my daddy raised me. That's why I didn't get that shit. You know what I'm saying? So I had to learn at an early age, hey, if you want this shit, you got to go get it. Yeah, I can give it to you, but if I just keep giving it to you, you're not going to know how to handle yourself when it's time for you to get out there. How about that? So my daddy told me early, fuck what anybody got to say about you. You worry about you. Don't worry about what other people think of you. Somebody always going to have something to say about you. You know what I'm saying? Always. No matter if you the crispiest motherfucker or you the bummiest motherfucker, somebody going to have something to say. It's going to be something. It's either you spoon-fed or you a bum. So at the end of the day, you got to get out here and do your own thing. And when somebody say something about you, you got to just let that shit fly. Like, whatever, man. So, Let me use me for example. I wear the same clothes all the time. I don't give a fuck. I'm not big on that material shit. I don't care, you know. But at any given day, you would see me hopping out of $100,000 car. You know what I'm saying? Like real shit. That's just how I am, you know. But my point is, it's about being raised right. And evidently, Mickey Douglas wasn't raised right. Because he killed 3 people that was talking about his shoes, bro. Well, he tried to kill all 4 of them, but only 3 of them died. He giving them headshots and everything. Like I said, their brains was all on the floor, all type of shit. He wasn't just shooting at them, you know, to scare them or nothing like that. Like, no. He went in for the kill, bro. Super emotional. You know what I'm saying? About a pair of shoes, bro. When he could have used that same energy and went to work and made $100, $200 for a nice pair of shoes. He decided to pull out a gun and kill these guys over that pair of shoes, bro. So that lead me to believe he grew up as one of them spoiled kids. He was one of the 10% of the hood. It be like that. A lot of these guys that's street niggas and all that, that's in the streets and all that shit, that, you know, about my age, that's still out here and all of that, they was spoiled. That's why they still in the streets. They was spoiled. They had all the newest shit. They didn't want for nothing. On the weekends when we wanted to go to the mall, you know, catch the bus to the mall, watch a movie at the movie theater, you know, buy some little shit while we there, you know. We need about $100. So we spending the whole week trying to grind up on $100. So when the weekend come, we can go to the mall, have a good time, get some phone numbers, whoop-de-whoop, whoop-de-whoop, you know what I'm saying? He was one of them kids, he ain't had to worry about that $100. His mama had it, his daddy had it, his uncle had it, his brothers, cousins, they had it. Even if it wasn't $100, if it was $50, huh? Shit, we can have a good time on $20, being real, you know what I'm saying? I just used $100 as an example, but you know what I'm saying? We can go to the mall with $20 and have a ball back then. Y'all ass tweaking, bro. So he more than likely was one of them kids that didn't have a problem, that didn't have to hustle up some money during the week, you know, to go out, hang out on the weekend, or go to a party, a backyard party, a barbecue, you know, a basement party or something. You know what I'm saying? Just have a couple dollars in your pocket by the weekend. He probably one of them ones that didn't have that problem. Y'all ass tweaking, bro. So when he run into his ops or some guys he don't get along with, whatever, he knew these guys. This is my point. He knew these guys. You know what I'm saying? And they got to talk about his shoes, bro. You a 25-year-old man. You worried about some niggas talking about your shoes in a Coney Island that ain't no bigger than a shoebox? You that mad. It wasn't like it was a bunch of bad bitches in there and these niggas embarrassing you and shit. Y'all at a Coney Island, bro. Getting a Coney dog with extra chili and cheese on that bitch. You know what I'm saying? Like, what type of time? Y'all is tweaking, bro. Shit crazy, man. But he killed them boys for talking about his shoes. Now, when he got locked up, right, his story was they was talking about his girlfriend. That was his story. Because, you know, when you go to jail, you got to have a story. especially when you caught on camera, no mask, no nothing. You gotta have a story. His story was they was talking about his girlfriend. You know what? Let's just say that was the case, right? Because I know the real story. It was about the shoes. You know what I'm saying? But let's just go with his story, right? It was about a girl. That's what he said. They were talking about his girl. You a 25-year-old man, bro. You worried about some other niggas talking about your girl. You know what I'm saying? Some niggas that you don't fuck with. They talking about your girl. You know what? Let me use me as an example. You know, if it was me, right, and I walked in that county and I seen my ops in there, whoopty whoop, right, and they like, yeah, bro, yo bitch a rat. You know what I'm saying? She be on this, she be on that, woo 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 woo. You know what I'm gonna do? I swear to God, on my kids, I'm gonna be like straight up. I'm gonna sit there. I'm gonna dialogue with them. I'm gonna kick it like, oh yeah, woody whoop. Oh okay, she was at such and such on that day. Woo whoop. I'm gonna corroborate everything in my mind. Everything makes sense. I'm like, all right, good looking. And I'm gonna go back to her and I'm gonna dump her ass. That's that. It's over with. I don't give a fuck. None of that. No, no, no. Them niggas told me what it was. They made it all make sense. You know what I'm saying? Everything that you was doing aligned with what they was saying. And we ops. So for them to come at me like that, yeah, your ass bogus. That's it. You know what I'm saying? That's what Mr. Roll Up would do. Cause there's plenty of fish in the sea. Y'all ass tweaking, bro. There's women all around you, bro. Everywhere. All you gotta do is come outside. Especially in Detroit. You know what I'm saying? I ain't even talking about the suburban cities around this bitch. I'm just talking about just Detroit alone. You know what I'm saying? Like, nigga, the hoes is everywhere. You know what I'm saying? All you gotta do is come outside, bro. You don't gotta be the cleanest nigga, the freshest nigga, none of that. Straight up. Cause most of these bras in Detroit is broke and they just want a man. You know what I'm saying? You know how to present yourself right, bro. You don't gotta have nothing. If you know how to present yourself right, you can get a girl here in Detroit. A decent looking girl. They got shit going on. I'm not promoting it or nothing. I'm just saying, I'm corroborating this with Dog's story. He said it was about his girlfriend. My point is, there's plenty of women out here, bro. It's not that serious. You gonna risk your life for a girl? For one girl, not like you had 50 wives or something and these niggas disrespected all of your wives. Like, one girlfriend, bro. When you know it's women everywhere. Everywhere. You crashed out about one woman. We not going for that, bro. He just don't want to admit the fact that it was about them shoes. You know what I'm saying? And that's exactly what it was. It was about the shoes. It's a surviving victim. Go ask him. It was about the shoes, bro. Which revert back to what I was saying. I believe he was one of them kids that grew up spoiled, bro. That was a straight spoiled, emotional nigga move right there. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't about no street shit. It wasn't about no drugs. It wasn't about no money. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't about no property, no investments, nothing. It was about a pair of shoes, bro. He could have kicked them shoes off right there and walked home barefoot. I'm not advising nobody to do it. I'm just saying he could have. It's a pair of shoes, bro. So what? So again, that lead me back to believe that he grew up spoiled and he didn't have to want for nothing. And now he out here in this world as a grown ass man have to do for himself. And evidently it's showing proof. Because he showed up to a spot with some damn shoes on that was so damn diabolical that it made him go on his hip and pull a gun and shoot 4 people about one pair of shoes, bro. He had a gun on him, but he had some busted up ass shoes on. Niggas, sell that gun and go get some shoes. What you need the gun for? What, to do what you did? And put yourself in prison for the rest of your life? All right, let's go behind the walls now, right? We got all that situated, right? Let's go behind the walls now. So they gave him 40 years, right? Y'all already know how Mr. Roller play this shit, man. That's a fucking life sentence, bro. He went in at 25. 25 and 40. He'd be 65 by the time he even eligible for parole. Eligible. 40 years is his minimum. He minimally has to do 40 years before he can even be accepted to have a convo with them. And we all know, because I just showed y'all multiple parole reactions. Everybody don't get a parole, bro. Like, real shit. Especially for somebody like him. Not only did he kill one person, he killed 3. And he killed 3 over a senseless crime. Regardless if it was about the girl or the shoes, it was a senseless crime that left 3 people dead. 3. Triple homicide. The parole board ain't gonna give him no parole anyway. So they revert back to what I said. He got life in prison. It's over with, right? Okay, now he in the joint. He behind the walls, right? You know what kind of shoes he wearing now? They call it state shoes. Yeah, state. Like the state that you live in, they call it state shoes. They automatically issue to you, you know, with your jumpsuit, your prison jumpsuit that you wear, you know. You get a pair of state shoes. You know what I'm saying? When you in the county jail, you got flops. Shower shoes, right? That's what you wear in the county jail. Shower shoes. So that way you can't stump a nigga out in there and all of that shit, right? So you wear the shower shoes. They're universal. You wear them when you take a shower. You wear them when you walking around. You wear them when you go eat. That's what you wear in the county jail. Is flip-flops, shower shoes, right? When you go to prison, you kick off the flip-flops and you put on state shoes. This is what you wear from now on. Some uncomfortable as cardboard box shoes. Give us a visual of what state shoes look like, Mr. Roller. Y'all ass be tweaking, bro. Y'all remember The Simpsons, right? A lot of y'all still watch The Simpsons. Mr. Roller still watch The Simpsons. Y'all ass tweaking, bro. Homer Simpson. Y'all know them damn charcoal potato wedge shoes that he wear in The Simpsons? Yeah, Homer Simpson's shoes. Those are state shoes in prison, bro. Homer Simpson's shoes is the cartoon version of prison shoes, bro. So your foot is in this charcoal black colored potato wedge that's made out of cardboard, bro. These your state shoes. So whatever pair of shoes he had on, when the situation happened, they don't got nothing on the shoes that he wearing now. State shoes. See, out here in the world, your shoes get beat up, get dusted, dirty, fucked up, all it. You could just go make some money, buy you a new pair of shoes, right? In prison, it don't work like that. Now, look, don't get me wrong. They do got a catalog where you can buy shoes, right? But they all like some off-brand bullshit ass shoes. It might be about, I'm gonna say maybe 10 pair of different shoes. It's probably not that. It might be like 5 or 6. Y'all know I over exaggerate. I'll be off on the time and blah 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 blah. Y'all is tweaking, bro. But anyway, it's a handful of different pair of shoes you could buy, right? Crazy thing is you only can have 3 different pair of shoes at a time. Like I said, it might be 5 or 6 different pair, but you only can have 3 at a time, right? And on top of that, the only time you could wear your shoes is like when you go out on a visit, you go to take pictures, some shit like that. You can't be just walking around the yard with your shoes on. You walking around the yard with your shoes on, the right cop peep you up, he gonna send you right back to the unit. Go put your state shoes on. So even the shoes on there that you do buy, you can't just wear them. You can't wear them in the day room, nothing. In the day room, on the yard, none of that shit. You only can wear them to visits and taking pictures. That's the only time that you can freely, walk around in your shoes is when you going on a visit or you taking pictures. That's it. So with that being said, even if he had a pair of shoes that's like on the prison catalog, if he had on a pair of knockoff shoes, that was dusted and all of that shit, fucked up, beat up ass shoes, right? Again, he could have used that same anger to push a lawnmower down a couple of blocks, charge everybody $20, cut their grass, bro. And he could have bought himself a new pair of shoes and could wear them freely. But he was being emotional. You know what I'm saying? He had that little boy syndrome in him. Little boy syndrome in him. Y'all ass tweaking, bro. So, with that being said, even if he do buy shoes in prison, he only can wear them one of 2 ways. You know what I'm saying? Because picture day and visitation days ain't on the same day. Well, it can happen because picture day be like at random, and like picture day is like twice a year. Visits is like 3 times a week or some shit. You know what I'm saying? I don't really remember how they were scheduling all that shit, but that's the only time you can wear your shoes, bro. So now, whatever pair of shoes he buying there, that's probably not going to compare to the shoes he had out here. He only can wear them 1 or 2 places. Other than that, he wearing the Homer Simpsons, bro. He wearing the Homer Simpsons, bro. And he got to sit there in prison and think about that for the rest of his life. He crashed out over for a pair of the Homer Simpsons, bro. Yeah. His ass tweaking, bro. Type of time. So, all in all, man, it was 4 lives taken, man. 3 murdered, 1 serving life in prison. And another guy was injured. You know what I'm saying? He here to tell his story, type shit. And it was all over a pair of shoes, bro. And again, now this nigga about to be sitting in prison for the rest of his life wearing the Homer Simpsons. Them the worst pair of shoes. The worst. Not just saying it because they prison shoes. No. Like, the only way you will know and experience how them shoes feel, anything, is if your ass go to prison. You know what I'm saying? And I ain't promoting that shit either. So, you ain't gonna never understand. Like, they are literally the worst pair of shoes in the world. Your foot got to get used to them shoes. They are cardboard shoes, bro. They cardboard. Like I said, they just shaped like the Homer Simpson shoe. The Homer Simpsons, you know what I'm saying? Like, real talk. They about the same color and everything, you know? The Homer Simpson joints, bro. Y'all ass tweaking, man. That happened in 2020. That was 6 years ago. Ain't no telling where he could be as of now. He was 25 when it happened, so he about 31 or some shit now. 31, maybe 32. He in his 30s now. You know what I'm saying? When you hit your 30s, you don't think like how you used to think in your 20s no more. You know what I'm saying? I used to always thought that was a fake, saying this shit. Like, when you get in your 30s, your back start hurting and, you start thinking differently and you ready to build and blah, 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 right? I thought all that shit was some fake shit. Nah, I don't have the back problems and all that, Mr. Roll Up, the one that break backs. Y'all ass tweaking, bro. Well, my point is this. When you hit your 30s, you don't think the same like how you thought in your 20s, So when he first caught that case, yeah, he was on that tip. Like, man, I don't give a fuck. Ooh, niggas had me fucked up. Now he in his 30s. He not thinking like that no more. And he in prison. You know what I'm saying? He's sitting there regretting that shit. He can't believe he did it. You know what I'm saying? And I bet you, if you could talk to some guys that he in prison with, I bet you they'll probably say he was a good boy. Like he didn't need for shit. Because that's why you would crash out for something like that. You know what I'm saying? Let's flip it this way real quick, right? Let's just say if he didn't shoot them for, the girl situation or the shoes. Let's just say it was because them was his ops, right? And he ran into him, right? Some of y'all probably like, yeah, that'd be a better look, The deal is he had the gun. They didn't have no guns. He had the gun. So he controlled board. You know what I'm saying? He could have walked in there, seen them or whatever. He could have up mag on them. Hey, y'all niggas get back. He could have walked himself up out of there and went on about his business. You know what I'm saying? Nah, man. He smoked them. Let's just say it was on some street shit, even though we know it wasn't. But let's just say it was on some street shit. Again, he's not thinking like that no more. He in his 30s. He not thinking like that no more. He regretting that shit. He was regretting it after he got locked up. You know what I'm saying? Real shit. He might have been in court. He might have, been on some tough guy shit. Who knows? But please believe, when he went and sat in that cell, he regretted that shit. You know what I'm saying? Everybody do. It is what it is. So, all in all, man, we gotta make better decisions, bro. So, to all you youngins, if you is spoiled, you know what I'm saying, your people giving you whatever, you want, things like that, I'm telling you right now, go get a job. So what? They give you everything you want. So what? You got all the new Grand Theft Autos and you got everything. So what? Go to work. Go get a job somewhere. It don't matter. It don't matter. You know what I'm saying? You might not want to work at McDonald's, no disrespect. Go get a job at one of these corporations. Be a janitor. They always need somebody to clean up. You know what I'm saying? You could be a janitor at a clean ass facility where you don't got to do much. You know what I'm saying? And you around business minded people. You know what I'm saying? That could further your thinking. You know what I'm saying? Be around them kind of people. So that way, if you don't want to work fast food, you could do something like that and be around people amongst like your peers, like your family. You know what I'm saying? There's ways to do this shit, My point is, don't do what he did, crashed out about a pair of shoes. Like, you probably thinking like, man, I ain't never, coming like that. But you don't never know. You know what I'm saying? And that come from being emotional and always having what you want. And now it's to a point where you got to make that happen. If you want that, you got to make it happen. You can't snap your fingers no more. You got to make it happen, And being an adult, it comes with a lot. You know what I'm saying? Being responsible, paying bills, taking care of your kids, getting around, transporting, yeah. You know what I'm saying? And some people can't handle that shit. And that's what I believe happened here, man. I believe he couldn't handle it. You know what I'm saying? And he fought with he fought with his emotions. You know what I'm saying? He was being emotional. We talking about a pair of shoes, bro. He was being emotional, So again, man, to all the youngins, before y'all crash out, because you on that tip, you just emotional, Emotions, they come and go. It's a feeling. Feelings come and go. You know what I'm saying? But a life decision ain't gonna never change. And for him, it ain't gonna never change. He ain't got to his 40s, his 50s, nothing. He ain't got to none of that. And he got to spend it in prison for the rest of his life. All over a pair of shoes. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully y'all learn something from that, man. Y'all lads be tweaking, bro. It's been another episode of Roll Up a Poet. So get your blunts rolled and your drink poured.